Mhm.
So one of the things I teach in the seminars is less juzgar, less judgment, and more
Mhm.
jugar, more play.
More
Yeah,
play.
because you tend, once we become like children again, it's easy to believe. In fact, that's when all our channels are open.
Welcome to the Holomovement Awaken Your Purpose podcast, where we interview incredible people that are living and breathing their purpose. And you can too. If you would like to support this programming, drop us a like or leave us a review. Now let's dive in.
Hello, my name is Sharon Clark, and I am a LightNet lead collaborator. At LightNet, we explore what becomes possible when people stop accepting limits and start living with intention. In other words, we teach people how to make the impossible possible. We're interviewing 100 people who have not only discovered their purpose, but have chosen to live it. Every challenge and every moment of uncertainty ultimately led to their complete transformation. And we believe it's important to share these journeys with you because these stories aren't just inspiring, they're a blueprint. Today, I'm joined by Timoteo Fredianelli, who is a spiritual facilitator and teacher who believes true creativity is not a learned skill. It is a signature of an awakened consciousness that flows in harmony with the universe. Timoteo is a New Thought minister from the Emerson College in California, a martial artist, an instructor of 2 different kinds of Qigong. He studied mediumship under Marilyn Rosner, and he's also a facilitator in Psych K, as well as many other healing modalities. That's quite an impressive resume, Timoteo, and I'd like to welcome you to the show. How are you today?
Thank you very much for having me, Sharon. Enlighten it, which I love.
That's good. That's good. So, Timoteo, can you tell us, what did you discover your purpose to be? What purpose are you living right now?
Well, I feel that I'm living my purpose and my life mission because I think we have several life purposes along the way. And those are like little indicators or lighthouses that tell you, where you're heading. And one day you bang your head against something and you know exactly what you're here for.
Mm-hmm. So, what is it that you're living? What is your purpose?
Well, my purpose is serving others, basically. And I do that through my osteopathy work and especially through my healing work and also my seminars, teaching, and helping people get out of their left brain and start living that part which I think is divine in us. I divide it into divine, I divide it into consciousness, I divide it into information, and then energy, and then matter. And I think that matter is just an effect of what's really going on in the invisible. Everything is tied up in the invisible and is always manifested in the physical. In a way, we're living, it's something residual, it's almost living what we're having now. It's already been discussed and really created in a way in a different area.
Do you think that you said everything is being created in the invisible? Do you think that the invisible is consciousness itself?
Consciousness is something that's probably too big for me to talk about, but after translating this wonderful book by Emmanuel and Rose of the Holomovement, I've learned so much about consciousness, and that's really helped me, like put the dots on the I's, like we say in Spanish. Understand things a lot better and to organize it in my head, because I felt that after my experience, I had too much information coming in, and I knew things intuitively, but all the people that I've come across since then have helped me, put the picture together. The pieces of the puzzles. Now I'm starting to see the picture.
It's beautiful. That is beautiful. So what is osteopathy? Can you explain to our viewers what that
Osteopathy is
entails?
really how we work the connective tissue in the body. You
Okay.
know that osteopathy started in the States, and also at the same time as chiropractic work. Chiropractic is it's wonderful and it works really fast, but we tend to concentrate on the fascia and the connective tissue, which is like 85% of the body. There's not a part of your body that is not covered in this web, in this
Okay.
and in fact, after studying with a teacher in the States that learned Qigong in Indonesia, he said that the reflection of the energy body is reflected in the fascia and the physical body, which is very interesting, because the fascia, everything in our body, all the organs in our body, there's a spiritual counterpart. Okay, then
Okay.
yeah, everything that is physical has its spiritual and energetic configuration on the outside.
Okay. Can you explain that a little bit more? Go into
Um,
depth just a little bit more on that.
um yeah, I can explain it.
Mhm.
We have a physical body. We have 12 systems in the body, but there are other bodies. We call them subtle bodies,
Yes.
subtle bodies.
Mm.
That, like I said, it's consciousness, energy, and information, energy, and energy expresses itself in many ways. In order to have this experience in this dual world where matter, and we have these three dimensions, that so we need that physical body to have these experiences, whereas there might be other dimensions or worlds where everything is organized or configurized in a different way. And this one, we know how it works, and
For the
that's our
moment. For the
mission.
moment.
Yeah, well, that's our job here.
Mhm.
Everything is a relationship. Everything is a relationship with the cosmos, especially with the people on Earth, because
Mhm.
we're really here to reunite. We're really here for a reunion, to find ourselves through others, through all these relationships.
That's an interesting perspective. I really like that. And it's true because as we meet people, it brings out different aspects of ourselves that we may have not discovered or that we have left dormant for a long period of time. So yeah, that's an interesting perspective.
And also,
And mhm,
we overcome this sense of separation when we make these recalibrations in ourselves, and we awaken these beautiful relationships. You know, um, even when I was studying shamanism with one of Carlos Castaneda's direct students, he said that sometimes we find a tyrant in our life, and
right.
and and they're really there. They're big teachers for us. But it's something we don't have to judge outwardly. We have to recalibrate inwardly, and it seems that subtly everything rearranges itself.
And from my experience, when I had tyrants in my life, if I didn't learn the lesson I was supposed to learn, when that person exited my life, a new person came in,
Yes.
different in a different capacity, however, still a tyrant trying to teach me the same lesson. And so once you learn to adapt and understand what they're saying and what they're telling you and get the actual real lesson behind it or underneath it, then you no longer have
Yeah,
that
I
challenge
think
in life.
Greg Braden also teaches a wonderful lesson about the Essene mirrors, which I
Yes.
studied also the Essene teachings, and there are many mirrors,
Mhm.
and it's really an inward job. It's funny because
Well,
the Buddha came to work. There's an east in the East. There was an evolution. It's inner evolution where you go inwardly. But they say, like, the uh, Christ consciousness. It's once you go inwardly and you discover your divinity in a form, you start to want to work outwardly. That's where service starts.
yes. Yes, agreed. So, what was the moment or the event when it became clear that osteopathy and becoming a spiritual facilitator was your purpose?
Well, I was like I said, I study martial arts. I continue to study martial arts, and I found that to be like a self development, self discovery process But there was a point in my life when I was, the young, I was gun ho for everything. And I sort of got mixed up in the wrong crowd. I started working security, in private security. I was an instructor. I was very good with weapons. I worked with in Europe when Bruce Springsteen, the Spice Girls, all sorts of different artists would come to Spain. I would bodyguard for them, but at the same time, I was mixing and in the wrong crowds. We were working security at night, and you know, it just came to a point where um, I sort of lost the track, the inner quest in martial arts. I exchanged it for the material part, which I thought was incredible at the time. And then a private security company offered our crew a job in a foreign country, and everything started to go too fast. I got involved in the wrong crowd, and I suffered a very, very painful injury. I had my spinal cord severed. Maybe 60% was of my spinal cord was occupied because I broke several vertebrae. I slipped discs, and it was a bad situation. And that broke me, literally broke me. I find myself that, or I ended up in a wheelchair, or probably had to get operated. And then I had an incredible, a real incredible experience. Do you want me to tell you about it?
Yes, I would love to hear
Okay.
about your incredible experience. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I was crying, I was praying, I was in so much pain, and at that time I was reading a mystic. Uh, I think he was like a very recent mystic because he passed away maybe I think in the 80s. But he was Daskalos. He was uh, a teacher in Christian esoteric, and he was a healer. And I
Okay.
prayed. I read literally a prayer he had in one of his books, and I felt this incredible heat in my back. And from that day on, everything started to change. I started to experience healing. I met with at that time, my first Qigong teacher. I met Neil Mintz he's a New Thought minister.
Mhm.
He was a direct student of one of Ernest Holmes of the religious science, one of the founder of religion science.
Mhm.
I think Lois Hay came out of that school of thought, of New Thought. And um, I met, I started just, everything started to go so fast. I even met with a direct student of Rudolf Steiner. So everything changed. I started to have experiences at a level I could not understand. I had to find, I was literally going through a transformation in a healing process. And that's when I literally started to find my purpose. I made the promise that if I healed, my back healed, I would dedicate my life to healing, just to be a catalyst. Like I also study reconnective healing, and we call it catalyst because we never do the healing. We just serve for
Right.
the healing.
Sure.
And also my shamanic teacher, who was a direct student of Carlos Castaneda. He also was a wonderful, incredible healer. He still is. He's retired, but he taught me so much at that time. So I came into contact so fast with so many lineages, spiritual lineages. My head was spinning, and it took me at least 20 years to put all that together. And I've never
So
stopped studying and practicing since then. And I've seen incredible healings, and many of the people who have asked for my service.
so you were healing psychologically, emotionally, mentally, physically. How long did it take for your physical body to heal, for you to
Well,
get out of that wheelchair?
maybe in 6 months, it went from, imagine I was from a 10 in pain Took me 6 months to bring it down to 3. And then after 3 years of Tikkun practice, Kabbalah, Christian esoteric teachings, a lot of studying and working. And in 3 years, I went back, had my scan.
MRI.
That's it, exactly. And my back was healed.
Wow, that is incredible. Did they tell you at the time that you would never walk again,
Oh
or was
yeah.
there always
Oh
a
yeah.
chance that you would?
Everything was like, the doctor said, it's done. I was alone when in bed looking up to the ceiling in so much pain, and I got up to read this book and prayed, and everything changed in one night. That's how it
That's
happened.
incredible. That is absolutely incredible. And how did those closest to you react when you began pursuing your true purpose? Did the relationships change when you started aligning with your true purpose?
To tell you the truth, not
Mhm.
really,
Okay.
because um everybody knew how passionate I was about something, because I've always studied things that I could really walk my talk after that. So everybody was really curious and very supportive.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Excellent. You're very,
they
very
saw that
lucky.
passion in me. They saw how I healed. And I mean, they just said, what are you doing and what's going on? And in fact, I had to, even though I had wonderful friends and private security and wonderful people, others were not so wonderful at that time. A lot of them have changed since then also. And I
Mhm.
think I was in a way an example that you know, you can walk out of hell with your head up and and show otherwise.
Yes. Change your true path and being an example for others. So was it important to you when you found your purpose and when you started heading down that path, was it important to you to have the support from people closest to you? Or were you so dedicated and so
Um,
singularly focused that you were like, it doesn't matter if they're on
I
board or
was
not?
so passionate and so curious about it that it I mean, even these, how do you say, smirks or mercs? I don't know, these, when you talked about to people about it, they were like, what is he talking about? What's wrong with him? He's lost his head. But
Yeah.
I've always looked on the humor side of things. In Spanish we have a word which is amor, love,
Okay.
and
Yes.
humor, humor. So it makes it so good together that if you tend to not take things too personally and seriously, there's always that loving of you can make fun of. And thank God that I've always been surrounded by good friends and good people that they would probably make fun of me, but it was always very hilarious. So even I laughed about it. I never took it seriously.
Done in love.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to make sure that your ego didn't get ahead of you.
That's
Keeps you grounded.
that's really the only thing you have to really worry about.
Mhm.
Your ego. Your ego, it got me in a lot of trouble.
How do you keep it in check now?
To understand that we are made up of a lot of energies in the universe, and that's maybe one of them. Maybe that Luciferic energy is one of them. That we think we're it at a certain point, and we don't need help from others. But there's two ways to that, because there's a lot of people who are maybe in a sorrow attitude, and they don't listen. It doesn't matter if you don't listen outwardly or inwardly. It's still a way of, a stupid pride that we have to. It doesn't matter. Anyone that shows up in my life, I listen always, because there's a message there.
Okay.
So we have to keep our channels open, because we don't know where that information is coming from. We just have to wait, listen, process. Discernment is very important, and it has to be aligned with uh, the spiritual principles. If they
Yes.
pass those, those are the screens. If you want to know if something is pure and honest and good, and I think it's worth listening to everybody, especially at this point in history of time. If we listen to each other a bit more and we were a bit more humane and understand that, there's a lot of programming going on at all levels. And if, like, I love this part in a movie, and I think it was in Gandhi, where this Hindu person says that, he goes up to Gandhi, says, I feel really, really guilty because a Muslim killed my child. Then I killed the child of another Muslim, and I feel so guilty about this. And he says, no, what you have to do is find like an orphan, a Muslim orphan, and teach him how to be a good Muslim, being a Hindu. So once you take out the etiquettes and you take out all these doctrines and things, it just boils down to spiritual principles that are always around. I mean, mysticism exists in all religions. You have the exo with the EXO tourism and USO tourism. One is like the facade, the outward.
Facade.
Yeah, the facade outward. One is the inner. And we have to learn to understand that all religions, they have a doctrine, but underneath they were all based on mysticism.
And love.
Yeah, that's where it comes from.
All rooted in love.
That's it.
Yes. So what is your biggest challenge currently to remaining to live your purpose?
Well,
What challenges do you face?
Well, personally, I like to study. I'm really into Taoism now and esoteric Christianity and Kabbalah. And I've found like they're all talking about the same thing, but with different archetypes. And I like to open people's mind and show them that these three schools of mysticism, hopefully I pronounced that right, are talking exactly about the same things, and the way they exercise them the same way. It's just that the culture, the way they develop these archetypes have been a bit different, but they're all talking about the same thing. So I think there's a connective thread in all religions and all people, especially because all technology is really based on us. Whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. All new technologies are based on ancient technologies that are based on us.
We are the most advanced technology on the planet. The human body is the most advanced technology on the planet. And that's what they try and replicate that.
And when you start to see the subtle bodies and you understand the configurations outside the material body, you will see the real vehicles that they're talking about.
Okay.
And you can see that. You can teach yourself to see that.
And how do you do that? How do you teach people to see the subtle bodies?
There's a lot of techniques, and there's been a lot of modern downloads about those techniques recently. Also, there's a lot of I don't remember the names, but there's a wonderful American woman that teaches you how to see the subtle bodies. I learned through shamanism, Taoism, also the Kabbalah system, and of course in esoteric Christianity, they teach you how to see the three bodies. There's a lot more bodies, but the basic three bodies, you learn how to teach them. And it's all in the Bible, in the Torah, and the New Testament also. Even in the book of Revelations, when it talks about rivers of life, they're talking about the literal energetic channels, and it's a map of consciousness. It's not the apocalypse. It's a book of Revelation. In that book of Revelation, and we know that Scripture, either in the Old Testament, New Testament, has at least 7 levels of understanding, because it's not only a literal, it's metaphoric, but it's also at a basic level, it's a vibrational system of conscious mapping.
Energy, frequency, and vibration.
It's all there. In the numerology, I found a great similitude between the numerology and the Kabbalah system, and also in Taoist system, at a very deep level. And basically because it's even in the Japanese system of Jinshin Jitsu, it talks about the 14,400 energy points in the body. Now, if you multiply that times 10, the 10 subtle bodies, you have 144,000, which is in the Book of Revelation. So
Yes.
there's a lot of things going on. And in the last 8-9 years, I'm a big fan of Dr. Urtak and Dr. Desiree Urtak, and I study the Keys of
Dr.
Enoch
J.J. Ertak.
every day. Yes, I think that is the the future Bible. Okay, that is the
Okay.
future Bible for new generations, and of the 200 scientific prophecies that he revealed in 1974. Maybe 100 and some have been already, how do you say, they've been demonstrated by the scientific community. And a lot of people are, copying a lot of things from the Keys of Enoch, and they've been there since 1973. Now, it's not an easy book, but with patience, it will talk to you, and it will give you a lot of clues and information in the spaces between the letters. Like I say, there's always something written, and there's
You can read
something.
between the lines.
There's a lot more than lines there. Yeah, and that's what it literally talks about, the occipital lines. Okay, which are the extension beyond the acupuncture points that connect us with the other bodies. Because there's electromagnetical bodies, and then Urtak goes on to talk about other forms of configurations that go up to the divine, even to the divine, I say, realms through frequency and music and using these sacred names, etc. Well, I shouldn't be talking too much about that because that's really not. I'm just a student, but
You're a student of it, but that's part of your knowledge, and it's beautiful for you to share it.
That's what helped me. The Book of Enoch helped me put basically everything together, because I was studying everything very separately. And recently I've been I've become involved in the Holomovement. I don't know if you're going to come to Portugal. It's going to be held there soon, but there's
I was thinking about it, but I haven't made that
the
final decision
Holomovement
yet.
book is incredible because it gives you so many perspectives on consciousness. So we have that difficulty in Spanish because we only have conscious, where consciousness and consciousness with capital letters, it talks
Yes.
about really transmutation, because once you become really conscious of things, your consciousness grows, and you understand how far a person is able to perceive through those subtle bodies, if you just open up to them, and then you start to look from up there down, and you say, what is going on, what is really going on. So especially now
Once you
with,
see it, you can't unsee it.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, there's a
So
lot of
you would say that.
yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, sorry. Continue.
Oh, you would say that Dr. J.J. Ertak's book, it was instrumental in you finding and living your purpose.
Oh yeah, of course. Because there's books that have been channeled, and this is well, I think Dr. Ertak talks about it in the channel Gaia, and in several interviews on he was literally taken and revealed directly this knowledge. So yeah, that's a whole different yeah.
That's a complete interview all on its own.
That would, I think Zenka has interviewed him sometime, but that is
Yes.
incredible.
Yes,
That
she
is
has.
an incredible book. It'll probably take me this life and a couple more just to get
More to
down
understand it.
the first 3 chapters.
Well, yeah, because he learned, he received this information in a different realm of consciousness. So from our perspective in this realm of consciousness, and keeping our outlooks and and the narrow vision that we have, it's hard to interpret and download that information. We have to expand our consciousness, our awareness, to really allow in the bigger picture, the higher truth that's written in the Keys of Enoch.
Yes, and it gives even the introduction and gives you some hints on how, just by reading it, there's a part of you that understands it. Just like when you scanned the Torah, you know how
Mhm.
it's written from right to left. Only by scanning the Torah, you will receive information. It will awaken information in you. At least it will awaken or clean the filters that have been in the way, intervened or intercepted by this feeling of doubt and separation, and this void that people are going through at this point of, because more than ever, I mean, in Enlighten It, I work with this famous cook that he's very conscious in this. He doesn't believe in anything that's spiritual, but all his work is dedicated to helping others. So I interviewed him, but people just have that. It's just like part of their system. They really want to help, and they don't believe why other people don't want to dedicate more time, more of their money, more of their their passion to really balance this thing out.
And
Because
the beautiful
sorry,
thing about
Sharon,
your friend is that, Mhm.
the thing is that in the Western society, we have everything, absolutely
Yes,
everything.
yes,
And people are more depressed than ever. They're taking more, what do you call it, anxiety pills than ever,
yeah,
and they have everything.
yes. Um,
That's why I say that
we were just
at a spiritual.
having a discussion about this the other day, that underprivileged countries, what we consider underprivileged countries, because we have everything at our fingertips, um, the people who live out in the middle of nowhere with nothing, no running water, no TV, but they have this little community of people that love and support them, and they laugh and they talk, and they are the happiest. They are so rich in laughter and love, something that the North Americans in North America, we had lost that for a large portion of it. We're impatient, angry, and because everything has to be done now, it has to be done perfect, and we need to get back to the roots of just living in love and just being happy, find our happiness again, find our laughter, find our love, find our center. Because I think that people who live that way, or I know that people who live that way, are much, much happier. They're much richer. And being rich isn't about the financial amount that you have in your bank. Richness is consciousness, love, and, like you say, service to others.
Yeah,
That's being rich.
there's this wonderful book, Beyond Willpower, by Dr. Alex Lloyd of the Healing Codes, and he talks about um, how important relationships are, because some
Mhm.
places where they don't have a lot of material things, they truly value relationships.
Yes. They
So he
value
says,
what's really
usually
important in life.
the love that we talk about nowadays, it's what's in it for me.
Yes.
Yeah. But this is all about
Yes.
just love is always unconditional. Love, unconditional love is unnecessary, because love is always unconditional. If it's not unconditional, it cannot be love, right? So
Right.
so what's in it for me? We have to stop and listen to ourselves, because sometimes even I've found in spiritual communities that there's also these levels of hierarchies, and they don't understand that, you don't know who's next to you, because you might have a wonderful Buddha, a wonderful Christ sitting next to you, who doesn't
Mhm.
need to be part of any hierarchy in the spiritual. I think the churches are suffering at this moment because of that. Because, you know, what if God was one of us, every single one of
Yeah.
us,
Mhm.
it's all there.
Well, exactly. I was speaking with someone about the consciousness of water the other day, and we are the human body is between 60 and 75% water. Well, water has consciousness. So when you speak words to water, whether they be loving, kind, supportive, caring words, or whether they be derogatory, upsetting, angry, hateful words, you influence that water. And it makes the water change its structure based on the energy that's put toward it.
But
And so being that our bodies are so much water, that when our negative self-talk or our positive self-talk influences our thoughts, beliefs, and influences what we attract into our reality. It's really quite fascinating.
yeah,
But it all is based in love.
water
Right?
in everything,
Mhm,
because that's the observer effect. But you
mhm.
can use that observer effect and go to a moment in the past of your life where you were having a difficult situation and observe, and it will change something in the future and now. It doesn't have to
Yes.
be only water. That's just one of the, well, that's just, I know that Emoto's exercises. I've done that with children when I used to work at the school, where we would boil water and we would use whole rice, and we would talk bad things to one, bad things to the other, and how that affects even a flower. If you put two
Mhm.
flowers in different vases, and one you sort of shame and say terrible things, that flower will die out really quick, whereas the other one but that happens to everything, even to a memory.
Yes.
You can go back in
Yes.
your memory, because you're the observer and the quantum field, and you have waves and you have particles, but you can also go back to a moment in your life where things were going wrong, and you can just sit there in front of that situation, observe it from love, joy, and peace, and it will
Mhm.
affect your present, because
Yes.
time is not linear.
It's what timeline therapy is about.
Yeah, and that's
Mhm,
I think Dr. Lloyd talks about cellular memory and how that
mhm.
can change, because that it seems that every 7 or 9 years, every cell of your body is totally
Regenerated.
regenerated. But
Yeah.
why do illnesses continue? Because the information has not changed.
Right.
So you go to consciousness, and consciousness, right between consciousness and the information field, is the quantum field. And if you can change it right between there,
It
you
takes
will
the charge out of
it,
the emotional charge out
it
of
will
the
change the
experience.
information, it will
Mhm,
change the
mhm.
energy, and it will change
Yes,
matter.
exactly. Exactly. So, what do you think living your purpose, once you started living your purpose, what effect did it have on those people around you?
Um, it's strange. It might the thing is I don't like to talk about it, because it seems like it's and maybe something
Okay.
ego, but things happen. Um,
Hmm.
Even people have come to me, and with a friend, for example, and like 2 weeks later, they would say, they would call me up. My friend was out of work for 2 years, and we only visited you once. And I came for my issues, for my projects. And when he left, he got a call, and all of a sudden he found a job. Now he's the boss in a department and things like that. So a lot of things happen, and especially with children, women who have spent thousands and thousands of euros on fertility things and things like that. Maybe with
Hmm.
1 or 2 sessions, um, I have some of that. I have at least 9 or 10 cases like that. Really, just like 90%, I think of the 10, 9 have had babies already. Um, and it's really funny, because
Fantastic. Wow.
in one of my reviews, um, one of my clients who said, he's a friend of mine now. He says, "Thank you for getting my wife pregnant." So it says, "It's
Whoa, whoa.
don't say it
Yeah,
like that, because it sounds funny." Yeah, but
exactly. Need to change the
so
wording
you
of
have to
that just a
change.
little
Yeah,
bit.
totally. I didn't get her pregnant.
You facilitated the energy so they could
They
work magic.
Well, that's the
Hmm.
thing of osteopathy, that we just try to rearrange things so that, like a woman is capable of creating a child of inside of her, that intelligence is always there for everyone. It's just that we just forget our connection with it. So what an osteopathy does, it just helps facilitate the right situation for it to happen. So you have to, everything that you do innerly, it's really going to help you in practice, because
Right.
intuitively you'll see something in the field and you will try to create a different healing field for it to facilitate that. But you're always work from the standpoint of a catalyst point of view. You really don't do anything. Just by, being there, having the intention, things happen. A lot of things happen.
You and I had a conversation one day about belief and the fact that when someone has a belief in you and your abilities, that helps you to believe in yourself and therefore be more successful. And I don't mean you as an individual, but collectively, each one of us. Like if you believe in me and something that I can do, then I will have more belief in myself and be more successful, and vice versa, or whoever we're dealing with. When we have a belief in another, we help them achieve because our belief allows them to raise their
Yeah,
consciousness,
it's
belief in themselves.
faith is a belief system.
Right.
Yeah, if you have the
Mhm.
belief of a little mustard seed, uh, the kingdom of God is in you.
Mhm.
It's really talking about the quantum field, and
Yes.
the thing is,
Well, that's what you're working with in
yeah,
osteopathy.
osteopathy is really working on the fascia and connective tissue and helping. But I think
Is it
the
not energy driven as
no,
well?
no, no, no.
No?
Well, the
Okay.
the fascia is really the energy body. So
Right.
you
So
do help it
therefore,
out.
we're
Yeah, you
getting into
facilitate.
quantum right
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Mhm.
But that comes with time. That comes with sensitivity, right? At
Okay.
the beginning, you're just working like the muscle. You're very mechanical.
Okay.
So, but things, yeah, it depends on how you age. You start to understand your body better. You understand people's body better. Yeah, become more sensitive. But people don't really have to believe. Sometimes things out of the extraordinary just happen, and we don't know
Mhm.
what part of us is really believing, because that the subconscious is connected to the superconscious. So there's a part of us that's always a child and is always believing in spite of us. It's always believing,
Exactly.
and it's always
Yes.
playing. You
Mhm.
know, in Spanish we have two words. One is jugar, that's to play, and
Oh,
the other one is juzgar. It's very similar. Juzgar y jugar are very
God.
similar. Juzgar is
Okay.
to how do you say, when a jury, what does a jury do? A court.
Deliberates. Oh, reaches a decision.
No,
Deliberates.
no. There's another word. Juzgar is to
it's it's a
judgment, to pass judgment.
judgment. Oh, pass
Eh,
judgment. Okay. Yes. Mhm.
So one of the things I teach in the seminars is less juzgar, less judgment, and more
Mhm.
jugar, more play.
More
Yeah,
play.
because once we become like children again, it's easy to believe. In fact, that's when all our channels are open. That's when we see more. That's when we believe more without having to create a belief system, and we're connected. When you work with children, um, when they're very, very little and they've not been, I don't like the word contaminated, but there's a lot of programs that
Programmed.
we can do without.
Mhm.
We have to upgrade a lot of programs in ourselves, especially for
Mhm.
the good of everyone. I love working with children because I worked as a kindergarten teacher for almost 20 years. So the good thing, I was going through my process and working with children, and that really helped me heal at a different level, because my schooling was, I mean, it was hard. It was hard school. It was tough. And
Yeah.
to give back in that idea, I was giving back to myself in a way. So, uh, goodness, kindness that we can learn through other ways that are not, too too hard. But yes, more play and less judgment.
Because by like you say, then we're open and we're allowing and we're receiving, as opposed to when we're judging, we're closed down. So we're not receiving anything. We're not allowing the goodness to come to us or the possibilities or
Now,
anything that we want, really.
it's something that when I was working a lot of qigong, your energy levels are really, really, really strong, and when I was working with maybe 2 or 3 or 4 year olds, they would you would walk in and they would go like stand there, and they're probably seeing things, that you do when you see with your auric vision and when you can see beyond, and they would go like that,
Right.
or even animals, like they would see something. Now that's something that happens. It's starting to happen, and when I'm practicing, when people are on lying down, and they're even with their eyes closed, they start to see colors they've never seen before, and they open their eyes and they start to see a lot of shining lights and stuff like that. And that's really strange, because a lot of the people that are having those experiences are totally, how do you say, they don't believe in absolutely anything. They just say, look,
Right.
I have my eyes are open and it's trying to see shiny lights around your head everywhere. Or they just break out in tears, and there's a shift and things like that.
Wow. Is that only when they're in your presence, or is that even after they leave their session? Does it continue on? Are you shifting something
It,
within
it,
them while you're working on them?
I don't do anything, but what happens is that the more that we upgrade ourselves and get out of ourselves, the bigger your field is, and it doesn't matter. It depends on how contaminated a person is, because we have
Mhm.
like different layers of conditionings, and maybe the software is out of whack or whatever. And when you go into that sort of cleans out the channels and things like that, and people have,
Okay.
or when they go home and they call you the next day and say, look, I had these incredible dreams, this and this was happening, I looked it up in internet, and the dragon represents this, and I know exactly that's what happened in my life. And so yeah, you see a lot of, I'm used to it now, but at the beginning it was,
Mhm.
I didn't know what to say, I didn't know what to answer. So I'd run back to my teachers, this is happening. What am I supposed to
What
do?
do
Is
I
this
do?
calm down, sit down, calm down.
What's your word for calm down in Spanish?
Cálmate. It's very similar. Cálmate.
Cállate. Cállate.
Relax. Take it easy.
Yeah. Um, what do you think the world would be like? Or what advice actually do you have for people who are looking for their purpose and their passion and meaning in life, but they haven't found it? And I know yours came about in a completely, you know, unexpected and unwanted way, really,
I
but
was literally
if
pushed out
someone's
of,
out there wondering, yeah, oof, hence the broken back.
yeah.
Yeah, not a lot of fun. But if there's someone out there, and I'm sorry that happened to you, although sorry, not sorry in a sense, because where would you be today had that not happened,
It,
right? I
it
mean,
happened.
that
Yep.
was the beginning of all things beautiful in your life. Um, so what would your advice be to someone who's out there struggling, who's in a position where they're unhappy, whether it be in their work or their home life or whatever, and they know there's something different, they know there's something more. What would your advice to them be? Don't get pushed out of
Wow.
a car, but beyond
Wow.
that.
That's the hardest question ever. But
Mhm.
um I've seen, well, I can talk about something, because this happened only 2 weeks ago. One of our work partners, I think he was 45, 46. He was a total unbeliever, and I offered him help because in just one day they found this terrible tumor in his head,
Okay.
and he just lived only like 5, 6 days. It was like that,
Wow.
and he didn't want to receive any help at all. He didn't believe in anything. Of course, I prayed for him. I offered him his best, but I also had a friend like 6 months ago. who had the same thing, and he was very open to it. And even though he did have surgery, the doctor said it was the best surgery ever. And he was open.
Wow.
He was open to all this.
Okay.
So whatever happens, because everybody has their, their day and their time, and, it just happens the way it happens. But it's always just good to be curious and to trust. I think even personally, the what I'm still working is sometimes trust myself. Even though I've had these incredible things happen, I still doubt sometimes. I shouldn't.
That's
As I
surprising.
say, Tim, you should not doubt. Well, I doubt. It's just that I find so much joy in seeing others heal. That promise I made was like a mission statement. It was a promise based on fear, because I said, if you help me, then I will do this. Well, it's not that anymore. So I'm working my trust up, and call it Yod Hed Vav Hed, call him God, call him universal consciousness. I'm expanding, I'm learning, and I always go back to a point in my childhood where I knew everything was possible.
Yes.
And I think people should, before throwing the towel, should like I always try to be optimistic with everyone. I can't promise you anything, but I want you to know that I have your back. Whatever, I'm totally committed, and I'm gonna work any way possible to assist you, to help you, to even through humor, whatever. I'm gonna be there. So never throw the towel. Just keep working, keep searching, because
be open.
Yeah, it's even more about being open. It's to truly, just it has to come from when you need just open yourself up to the possibility that it's going to get better,
And that the answers will come.
and that once you open the field, you've created that possibility, and it could collapse on that one. Whereas if you didn't have that one before, there's no possibility of it collapsing in that, or the entanglement to happen.
Right.
Yeah,
Can you explain a little bit what you mean by collapsing? Because most people's idea of collapsing is a negative connotation instead of a positive. So can you just elaborate on that just a little bit?
Quantum collapse is when, out of those millions of possibilities, it collapses into the one you want.
Yes.
Okay, we're talking from the outward into this one, but you have to create that one. If it doesn't exist in your field, if you don't play the lottery, you're never going to win the lottery. You have to at least buy one of those tickets.
Okay, but don't sell your house and buy 500,000 of them.
Yeah, not that way.
No, we're not saying you're going to get rich playing the lottery, but be open to whatever possibilities that you want in life. Otherwise, you'll never experience
You
them.
have to create the possibility in the quantum field.
What do you think the world would look like if everyone lived their purpose? What do you think the world would be like?
Well, in that case, I think the world would transcend into a different dimension, basically. This is a schoolhouse. It's a wonderful schoolhouse. It's a wonderful schoolhouse, but that would mean the earth transcending at a different level.
Starting with a more harmonious world that we live in.
Yes, but remember that the world that we see with our physical eyes there's a lot more worlds, and it's like an onion. What we see is only the small ones, because when we transcend, we continue seeing the world in a similar way. And And
Well, we only see 1% of the light spectrum. So
that's it.
Yeah.
It's really
Well,
literally skim milk what we receive. We're not drinking straight from the cow.
yes, that's a great way to put it. Where can people find you, Timoteo? If they want to interact with you and have some osteopathic healing, where can they find you?
Or maybe distant healing also I do. You can find me in TimoteoFredianelli.com, which is pretty, I don't know if you can put it up there, but it's just
We will actually add it after. We
it's
will
just
add.
Timoteo Fredianelli, what you have on the screen there, and
Mhm.
.com.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Timoteo. It's been very enlightening. It's been a wonderful conversation, and we wish you well in all your endeavors and keep on healing and helping people. It's
Thank
amazing.
you.
Absolutely amazing.
Likewise. Thank you very much, Sharon.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. If you would like to get to know some of the most important thought leaders in the consciousness movement, I invite you to join us for the Holomovement Wave in Portugal, May 29th through June 2nd. There is going to be incredible luminaries there, such as Lynn Twist, Lynn McTaggart, Samuel J., Shamini Jain, Samantha Sweetwater. These are scientists, musicians, and leading thought leaders in the consciousness movement. And this is your chance to fly into Lisbon, head over to the Cascais beaches, and really spend time to get to know, to plan, and cohere with some of the most important leaders on the planet as we head into this new age. It is our goal to give you the courage to begin to identify your passion and live your purpose for the sake of yourself and for the sake of us all. Over the course of this multi-year collaboration and research project, we have identified patterns and a 7-stage process that many people go through on their way to living their purpose. If you'd like to browse our archive or figure out what stage you're in, head over to holomovement.net/purpose. If you would like to browse our living library of resources, or if you found your purpose and want to contribute what worked for you, head over to lightnet.org/purpose. And as Mark Twain used to say, the most important day of your life is the day you're born and the day you figure out why. You're not alone. We will look forward to helping you on this incredible journey. This has been a collaboration between Holomovement, LightNet, and incredible people like yourself. Special thanks to Good of the Whole. We'll see you next time.